Hello, everyone. Welcome to this panel called Animation Across Equestria, which also talks about 2D or 3D animation. So this is one of the panels we can show for one of our projects to come, how we can give some advice, and also how we can talk about more stuff about 2D or 3D animations and the softwares we also use when it comes to all these content and stuff. And we can all start introducing ourselves, starting from here, from the students. Introduce.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, my name is Luximus. I am a silent 2D animator. I don't really do a whole lot of fun stuff, but I have a table in the vendor hall that's got stuff that you can buy from me, drawn by me. Please come to my table and buy my shit.
Alright. And then I am the Looney Turtle. I mostly do 2D animation with my little turtle mascot. The intro, he jumps out of the ocean. But I've been trying to learn a little bit more in animation to actually make a full-fledged one, but for now, that's what I've got. I'm also head of theatrics and in the vendor hall this year, so there's that.
Hey there, I am TheInvertedShadow. I primarily am a 3D animator. Specifically, I use Gary's Mod for most of my stuff, and I've done quite a number of things, not just My Little Pony, but several other sorts of, what's the word I'm looking for here, like cultural or fandom sort of stuff.
Pop culture stuff.
Let's go with that. And I primarily use Gary's Mod, but I've also been trying to branch out into sorts filmmaker, even though I'm not particularly very good at it. But I still do enjoy what I do, and it's nice to be here for all of you again.
Hello, nice to meet you all. And once again, I am AG Studios. I'm specifically mastering into 2D animation and hand-drawn animation. The softwares I use are Toon Boom Harmony, and I recently just got into Clip Studio, which is also a good source for 2D animation. Much cheaper too. It does put a lot more reliance on comic and drawing and of course anime animation, that's what I'm currently learning in my field. I've been doing pony animation since almost forever in fandom. Mostly active since 2016. Been doing lots of projects, a lot of indie projects too, and between indie animation shows and my own original animated shorts, including some more feature projects that are still in the works.
Alright, so hello, I am the ACLP Films, and most of the things I've been doing is 3D animation. The software I've been using is usually Source Filmmaker, which I've been using for 3 years. I've been doing animations for 3 years. This all happens when COVID hits back in March. I had nothing to do at home, and the only thing I can do is just stay on my computer. But the only thing, if I don't have to get bored, is I have to do some fun. Like I was thinking in my mind, should I animate something, because I have something in my story that I had in my mind for a while, and I just been using Source Filmmaker. I've been practicing a lot with from what I learned from Argo, who inspires me, which I wish he was here.
Nice.
Back in April, that's when I started creating my first YouTube channel, ACLP Films, which is usually ACLP Films, just my initials, and I do films and some short contents and many other stuffs. But then, as of now, I've been doing it ever since April 2020. And first of all, I started doing Marvel stuffs and some Marvels skits, which is what I did with I did the Black Panther video, and I decided, you know what, I should try going with the MOP and do all animated stuff though. And then as of now, I've been doing most of the My Little Pony content, all the stuff. So maybe we can all share our backstories, how we got into 2D and 3D animations, so we can start. You want to start?
We can start from me to there.
That's fair.
Yeah, I started animation back in in 2010, in my sophomore year in high school, I was intrigued to just wanted to get into the after school art classes, which is what and they done like art schools after school hours for like at least 2 hours straight from Monday through Friday. I got rejected on my freshman year because I haven't been able to get the experience yet, but I was able to make it in my sophomore year until I was able to skip a grade given how good I was in animation. I was able to just learn how to use animation in softwares like Adobe Flash. I've done 3D before. I used to animate a couple of times in Maya, which personally in 3D is not my specialty. As much as I was good at it, it's just not my focus. And just using Maya or using any 3D software is just too much for me to memorize because there's so many objectives you gotta do, so many tools you gotta memorize. So I just stick with 2D. The moment I bought myself a tablet, I was able to master my hand-drawn animation a lot more. I even got three film school animation festivals awards. I got 3 awards for best animation in my senior year at my school's film festival. And then I continued on in the Art Institute for 3 more years, and I've been able to graduate instantly just for learning toon boom animation, which I leveled up on the next piece. So by 2016 to today, I still been doing a lot of independent animation on my own. So, and that's where I am right now, just still evolving my animation, improving it, just continue experimenting, making entertainment for people, especially in the fandom and still in other places. I'm really happy with where I am right now.
God bless.
Awesome.
You know, me personally, I started working with Gary's mom back in 2010, I think it was either 2010 or 2011. It's been that long. Your brain kind of goes numb on details like that, you know what I mean? But I started out just watching other people use Gmod, and I decided, hey, let's try this for myself. And I started out with this Gmod and some very primitive editing software, and it shows in my early works that they're not very good. But over time, when I got some better equipment, I kept practicing, and before My Little Pony, before the fan even started, most of my content was centered around Team Fortress 2. And then when My Little Pony Friendship Magic came out, then I decided to give that a try, and I don't exactly regret sticking with it. But I've been going at this for about 10 years at this point, and I certainly do not regret what I have been given. It's a lot of fun just animating, and more so just entertaining a lot of you. So again, thank you for coming out here for following my shenanigans, for lack of a better term. I do appreciate it. It's been fun. It's nice to entertain. That's pretty much my goal in life, and yeah, that's really what I gotta say.
Alright. I've been on YouTube for probably over a decade at this point, which is weird. And in that time, I've always kind of dabbled with animation. I don't do the most intense visually stunning animation, but it's the same style that you see in, say, a game theory video. When I was in high school, we did digital media. I went all 3 years, so freshman year actually, all the way to end of high school. So I at least learned the concepts of animation. I'm just not a very good artist.
I'll be sure.
So I've stuck more with symbol animation and some little bit of frame by frame here and there. And lately I've been learning Blender so that I can 3D model for my 3D printer.
Okay, Lore of Luxies. It's called.
Don't study on a dark and stormy night.
Really legit. So, for context, I've been in the fandom since before the premiere of season 3. And when I got into the fandom, I was 14 years old at the time. I fell in love with the animation style, and I loved that people in the fandom could animate as well as the show, if not more, if not better. And I thought that the concept of people animating their own things and putting it online was so fun, so creative. So I was like, I want to do that. That looks like fun. So what I did was I found the double rainbow puppets. Remember those? I found those, and I started playing around with them, and I did the whole like smiley face tutorial that they do and all that. And it really jumpstart the whole animation gig for me. If you guys are really looking into animation but don't know the basics of it, go find that smiley face tutorial. It's a lifesaver, and it'll start you out really nice. Okay. Otherwise, from there on, I worked all throughout high school as a hobby of doing animation. We didn't have any like animation classes for high school. It was just me at a computer after doing homework every night. And then once people found that I was doing these animations, they suggested me to go to an actual animation school, which I did. I'm still there. It's a nightmare. Been there for 7 years. But I had gone through so much work. I've done 2D work. I've done a lot of 2D work. I have gotten gigs with a musician on YouTube called CG5. He's had me do I See You Dreamer. He's had me do Good to Be Alive, and recently he's had me direct Forget, which was an all 2D animated thing with a cast, not a crew that was from the Health Plus crew, so I've directed those guys. That's me now, I guess.
Okay, so let me try to add something up for me like as possible. So I've been in the fandom since 2018, December 2018. I did learn how to use animation, but I was using Maya because I was in college at that time when I was in the Philippines, which I took my bachelor course in the Philippines in 4 years, so which I've already done. I first learned Maya first, but I was just learning how to use the rigs, the models and stuff, and then also how to also craft and make these models. And yeah, I've been doing that, but then I'm mostly more into photography, graphic design, or motion graphics. And yeah, then it took me a while to just learn Source Filmmaker, which really is something that I care for now, and that now I have some of the followers that I need, and to get some of the stable income. Alright, so maybe we can just show one of our recent projects or one of our past projects that we have been working on. So maybe let me just show them right now. And for those who want to start first, maybe. Let's just show one of my. I've been doing mostly starting additionally motion capture stuff, which I've mostly been doing since. I've been doing it since last month because I know that it would be a good thing for the great thing to level up my animations by doing motion capture stuff, which I've been using my VR headset to make some movements for all this stuff. So let me just show you one of my recent projects last month.
They're magical, they're majestic, and they have the power to make rainbows appear out of thin air. If I had it my way, I would have been a unicorn myself instead of an alicorn. But I guess Princess Celestia had other plans for me. Maybe she thought that giving me wings would help me keep up with Rainbow Dash. Or maybe she just wanted to show off to the other princesses. Either way, I'm grateful to be an alicorn now, even if it means I have to deal with extra attention and expectations. But you know what's even better than being an alicorn? Telling funny jokes. That's right, every pony loves a good laugh. So let's all gather around and share some jokes about unicorns and alicorns. Who knows, maybe we'll come up with something so funny that even Princess Celestia will crack a smile. And even if she doesn't, I know she still loves me for who I am, whether I'm a unicorn, an alicorn, or something in between. By the way, have you ever noticed how different Princess Celestia and Princess Luna's hobbies are? Celestia is like a morning person on steroids, raising her Equestria runs like a well-oiled machine. Meanwhile, Luna spends her time in the dream realm, probably trying to come up with new ways to scare ponies in their sleep. It's like they're two sides of the same coin, or maybe they just have different ideas of what's considered a good time. But you know what they say? Variety is the spice of life. And speaking of spice, did you hear about the time Princess Celestia tried to cook breakfast for us? Let's just say it was a good thing Luna was around to cast a spell and turn the burnt pancakes into something edible. It's April Fool's Day. Gotcha. But seriously, those pancakes were really bad.
Yeah, these were done all during the past months. Before that, I used to do like videos that are POV or mental health. But then, yeah, that mental health video or the POV, if you saw the Twilight Sparkle cheering up video, that kind of motivated me to make more POVs, and that kind of blew up, like what I did with Valentine's Day and Christmas stuff. But then things have changed, and then there's times that you have to move on and do something new, because it may not be good to just have a camera and POV getting petted. But yes, well, it's time for me to move on from POV or mental health stuff and just do something new, because when you have to do mental health stuff or if you want to make a video about it, you have to. It is a very complex thing to do when you have to address to older people. So yeah, I should have done my research, but yeah, that's an experience for me. So when it comes to doing something like project stuff, you will learn something from it, and you will learn from all your mistakes and what you have to do. But yeah, I've been doing mostly capture, and also I should be doing more of memes and jokes, because you know people want to have a good laugh and have some fun. And who is next to show a project?
Oh, I got one, and it's one of the most projects that I've been developing since 2018, and finally after polishing a lot of the cringy pony OCs I made from 2012 to 2014 through now, they're a lot perfectly polished than ever, and this is the first time they're going to go up in public, and this is one of them.
I implore you to support this dude. He does great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Aloha, every pony! My name is Blossom Bud, and welcome to Hawaii. Hope your trip from San Diego was a smooth cruise. Please take this orchid lei as it brings you happiness and paradise. Mahalo!
What you just saw was the first teaser of a passion project I'm developing. It's gonna be my own spiritual successor to MLP. It's gonna be a lot more different, and it's still gonna have ponies, but they're gonna be a lot different in my own concept, my own creation, my own universe. And she's one of the first main characters that I'll be introducing to. I got one more, so you might get to see a couple more proof of concepts for this project to keep evolving.
Alright, so it's my turn now, right? Alright, now this animation I'm about to show is not anything new. I believe this was what I did for Halloween back in 2021, but it's still something I'm particularly proud of, and I love how it came out. So, for those who haven't seen it, I hope you all enjoy it. He knows. I should also point out this is all stop motion that you're about to see.
You're in my world now, not your world. And I've got friends on the other side. He's got friends on the other side. Sit down at my table. Put your mind at ease. If you relax, it will enable me to do anything I please. I can read the future. I can change right on to. I look deep into your heart and soul. Make your wildest dreams come true. I got voodoo, I got hoodoo, I got things I ain't even tried. Friends on the other side. And if you are shaking, there's something very wrong. Cause this may be the last time you hear the boogie song.
This vampire bat, this inhuman beast, he ought to be locked up and never released. He swears to the longest day he's dead, he'll show them that he can get ahead. The world was such a person too. He had a plan to shake things up, and that's the gospel truth.
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Transformation Central.
Transformation Central.
Transformation Central.
Transformation Central.
Transmogrification Central. Can you feel it? You're changing, you're changing, you're changing, alright.
Far from somebody you cries.
I hope you're satisfied. But if you ain't, don't blame me. Don't forget it.
Don't forget it.
Don't forget it. You'll regret it. This land we behold.
This beauty told
Can be bold. It all can be sold.
as a specimen. Yes, I'm intimidated.
And you can blame my friends on the other side.
You got what you wanted.
Thank you. Now, just as also a minor spoiler, that character you saw as a focus, the Blondie, I do have plans for her. Her story's not quite done yet. Anyways, passing it right along then.
And Looney?
Looney.
I didn't send you anything, but
I have some clips also here.
yeah.
Just draw something right now.
Do you have internet access?
I mean, we do have some blank pieces of paper here if you want.
Just break them all up and turn into like a flip animation.
Yeah, flipbook animation.
Yeah, we got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 pages.
Do you have internet access?
Possible, maybe.
Maybe by
I
chance.
was able to have
It's gonna get
access.
really dodgy if you try the internet, because I can't get it.
Neither can I. Yeah, it's just like
It just doesn't exist in here.
So for Looney.
Yeah. One that I really had fun doing was I reviewed season 8, and at the beginning I did a gag with Looney where during the song Scootaloo says "waving through the wavy blue with a view of tortoises," and as the tortoises go by, I switched to an animation of Looney coming on and being like, "Oh, wait, I'm a turtle. Scootaloo!" And then he swims along over to it. It was fun because I had to make a new model for Looney that was closer to the actual turtles that we're seeing in that episode. Okay.
Right now.
Yeah.
whenever you have the chance.
Yeah, I have a love
We must stress we are unconventional, but we get the job done.
Yes.
Always plan ahead.
See how it works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just show one of them right here. With me. So this is one of Looney's videos here, so I can just hopefully mess with me.
If it will load.
No, that's cheating. Quick, stop the time, some joke.
So, did you hear about the one with the guy that went into the bar?
Which one?
There's a lot of
The
them.
one with the thing with the stuff. You know. Yeah.
Which
That's
bar?
also me. I went to a bar with stuff.
Oh.
Are you talking about me? On my back?
No. In front of your
What
back.
are you saying? Oh, well, that's different.
Yeah.
Because then I can talk bad about you in the back. It's your back.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Oh,
We'll
no.
just be talking back to back to our backs, about our backs.
Okay, while we're waiting for that to be ready for Looney, let's
Me?
Try
Okay.
to have a backlash.
Alright, so my thing that I want to share is not a pony related thing. It's an original. First off, how many of you have an idea that you want to be made into an actual like animation? Like it's a full-fledged idea, the original thing, right? Yeah, everybody. But like it's hard to do because animation itself is hard to do. So you either have to ask people or you have to learn it all yourself, and then that takes years and years and all that. I took the long route. I learned how to do the animation itself. This is supposed to be both a senior thesis film, because I'm graduating this year, and also a proof of concept for a little show that I want to make. It's called Alistair and Melody. It's about two angels, a father and daughter, and they're making fish sticks and toast, in this one at least. It's a lot of fun. It's not completely done. It's going to be done in May. It doesn't have music, but it has some sound to it. That sounds like
The other room.
Hello! Yep.
Oh, yeah, I guess Looney's there.
Hello, Joannes. I'm Eric, and I'm Looney, and welcome to the Looney Turtle. With the exception of their misunderstanding of what a sea turtle is, I thoroughly enjoyed
Come on,
this
this way.
game.
Wait on this way.
With a new location, characters, and overall dynamic.
Why have you done this?
Even Starfield got an episode to show that he still doesn't fully understand French. This helps
Ghost projector.
in season 2. You'll probably see more.
Okay, so then
Discord just showing up.
Try that again.
let's try again. Sorry about that. Let's start with Looney's.
Okay, we just have to finish Lux's first.
Oh, that's
Lux,
Yeah.
don't want to be interrupted.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that.
So anyway, this is a proof of concept. I'm almost done with it. We're about 2/3 of the way colored in. We don't have music. We have some placement sound, so it's gonna look a bit weird. Just watch it for like the eye candy that's on the screen, pretty much.
Precisely.
Yeah.
All right.
Tools.
It's gonna be done in May with sound and music and everything. It's making good progress now.
I want to say I require more of this pairing, and I require it now, Lux.
I know. Let's do it.
We want more. We want more.
Great.
Alright, now it's Looney's turn.
Yeah. We don't have to watch the full video. It's just kind of the beginning that I did some animations and I was super proud of myself.
Bruh.
Oh no. Oh no.
I have an idea.
Damn you with hotel Wi-Fi!
I have a idea.
It's okay, just act it out.
So there's a slew of turtles and Scooby calls it toys. And then so they swim all by and then you see Looney. He's got to stop his what?
You flipped between like 3 different accents in that entire sentence.
It's the best.
It is.
No, yeah, I hadn't even gotten to Scottish.
Who's this?
So how's everyone's con experience been going so far?
Great! Especially for a first time visiting the West Coast. Someone from the East.
Same. First time, huh? What have you enjoyed most so far?
Honestly, this is about as big as BronyCon back on the East Coast.
Yeah. That was fun. I got a bunch of people singing in a circle.
Yes, you did.
That was a lot of fun.
Here's a question for the audience. Who here wants to start learning how to animate? Who here has an idea of how to start? There's a lot of different programs. If you're looking for a 2D animation field, you want to go for Adobe. Adobe is a really good starting point. Otherwise, there's more advanced stuff like Clip Studio or Two Harmony. A lot of studios nowadays, Cartoon Network and stuff like that, they're using Two Harmony. It's really good programming. If you want to go for 3D, Source Filmmaker is free. Blender is free. Blender can also do 2D. A lot of the programs that we use anyway are either pirated or bought out, or do we just have a copy of, you know? But Blender and Source Filmmaker and Gmod, I think, right, are free?
I think
Gmod costs money.
Is Gary's about like $10 in the Steam store, but it's not much.
Source Filmmaker is free, I know that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go to an actual class to learn. They're like, literally YouTube is just the best place to learn anything. So don't be intimidated by how much you have to learn in order to animate, because you can. It'll take some time, but if you're dedicated to it and you really want to do it, it'll be worth it in the end. You'll have a lot more power over your stuff when you learn how to do it yourself.
And even if you don't have access to all of those programs, there's a variety of them that are free, there are a variety of them that are accessible, but you could start at the very basics with paper and pencil. Draw a flip book. The bouncing ball animation tends to be a really good starter animation because it gets you to understand how to give things weight, how to give things bounciness, and how to smear if you really want to make something go fast. It's a very basic animation that you can experiment with to kind of learn what looks good with your animations. And one thing that I hope every animator has at least seen or heard a little bit about in their experience with animation is the animator survival kit.
I have that.
Yeah, I have one too. Yeah. It's a book made by an individual who worked with a lot of the old animation
It's
studios.
made by the dude who animated Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so he goes very in depth over the bouncing ball, over walking cycles, over a variety of animation concepts that are very useful, in betweens, keyframes, those kinds of things. So if you're wanting to get into animation and you're able to get this book, it is a very good resource in helping kind of teach you some of the concepts and gives you some things you can take and use as practice, like, oh, they did this, let me try to do that. Because it really helps you digest how animation really works and really conceptualize it. So, yeah.
Did we get Looney's thing up or?
So when it comes to animations and stuff, first, how I done one of my videos is that I have to search up something has never made, like something, look for, try to make something very creative and be very, original. So, what I did to one of my videos, if you saw the Squid Game thing, usually I just look up for videos that no one has codified the stuff, and then I just have to animate it. But yes, it is time consuming. So I would, for those who, when it comes to animation or trying to do a 2D or 3D, you should set up a time management. So have time for, literally have time for work or school, and then having enough time to just go on your computer and starting your project and stuff. So another thing is it becomes time management. So yeah.
Oh no, she's got it.
Cheer.
More.
Yeah, we're there.
And
Try the Discord window there.
here we go.
Oh, there.
You'll view us slow walk tortoises.
Wait, I'm a turtle. Hello!
Hello, duets. I'm Eric. And I'm Looney, and welcome to the Looney Turtle. With the exception of their misunderstanding what a sea turtle is, I thoroughly enjoyed season 8 of My Little Pony. With a new location, characters, and overall dynamic, it had a lot going for it. They even revisited some minor plot threads, such as Chrysalis plotting against the main six, the Pillars adjusting to present times, and even Starswell got an episode to show that he still doesn't fully understand friendship. This helped replenish my engagement in the show. In seasons past, we've always seen parts of Equestria, but it's always felt like the episodes happen in a vacuum. Yaks, Breezies, or even Griffins would end up with an episode, but then they disappear for 4 seasons. Something's attacking Cangelon. Oh no, get the hippogriffs!
What? Who are they? Couldn't you just get the yaks, dragons, or even the freaking griffins?
Good point, and that's one of my main issues with the writing of this show. I started watching for its world. Just like The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, or even Wreck-It Ralph, there's a world surrounding these characters that is just as interesting as the characters within it. Fiction tends to be an escape from our own reality, and if it isn't well maintained, then it brings the audience out of the experience. I mean, look no further than when Twilight was made into an alicorn, or even before that, when Cadence was introduced to the series. Up to this point, an alicorn had been made out to be a rarity in the world of Equestria. It broke the audience's preconceptions of how alicorns work in this world, in turn taking the audience out of the experience. Because of things like this, I feel as though the writers have been largely neglecting this world in favor of slice-of-life style episodes, which is fine if they only did slice of life. But the very first thing we see in this show is a story about how Celestia banished her sister to the moon for 1,000 years. What happened? They started with such a great world for our characters to be in, but didn't capitalize on it. So to see the more recent seasons step up and explore the world of Equestria, I've been thoroughly excited to see where they're going to go. Today I'd like to focus more on the season 8 finale, where, when you think about it, they kind of pulled the same trick as Infinity War, splitting off into multiple groups and eventually coming together in a climactic confrontation against the main villain. But rather than this, we ended up in a situation where no one dies, the villain lost, and friendship reigns supreme in all the land. I found this finale especially enjoyable because it calls back to seasons past, past, as well as just how much is going on in the present. Twilight and Company think it's Tyrant, the EEA wanted to warn Twilight but got sidelined by a power vacuum. All the while, the Student 6 try and figure something out and eventually free Namesake. Then it goes back to Canterlot where the ponies are trying to figure something out, and for what I think is the first time ever, the Royal Guard is deployed from Canterlot.
Well, there was that one time in an alternate universe, but we won't count that.
This directly contrasts how an episode like Shadowplate or To Where and Back Again handled their story structure. The conflict centered around one group of characters, which, while interesting, especially with the latter using 3 different, relatively underutilized characters in the series, but neither of those episodes really make it feel like a nation is in jeopardy.
In Shadowplate? I mean, the Pillars, a couple of cities in Equestria, Pony of Shadows, Ponehenge?
Those are historical elements and minor locations, which is nice to see included in an episode, but there wasn't really much agency. The Royal Guard is nowhere to be found. We see very little of Celestia and Luna, or any of the other wacky characters we've learned about over the years. What the episode focused on was essentially the Ancient Six. These characters were well developed in their own legends, but in present day they just stood next to Main Six and used what is essentially the same powers. And whenever we went to a different location, it lacked any agency. The Main Six getting trapped in Tartarus and trying to find a way out before it's too late, that's agency. Same can be said about Celestia and Luna mobilizing the Royal Guard, or the Student 6 seeing through cozy closed lies, or the EEA trying to warn Twilight. All of this happening at once allows the issue to mean more to the characters. There's high stakes, and you can feel those stakes every time they cut to a different group of creatures. An additional little touch is how they showed what's been happening to the creatures in the Everfree Forest. Oh, they got the Manticore? Fluttershy helped him in the very first episode. Why'd they put him in Tartarus? I mean, I understand Cerberus guarding the creatures. A bear, Cockroach, maybe even the Chimera. But Fluttershy showed us how much of a huggable little body the Manticore was.
Yeah, he's...
Fluttershy helped Lottie.
I smell it into jealousy.
What? I'm not.
Sure, but with how well the My Little Pony staff handled this season finale, I'm just left to wonder what the future holds. With the reintroduction of Chrysalis and even a hint of Tyrek and Cozy Glow's return, there's a lot of potential for the next seasons of the show. I even hope they reintroduce or call back to other things as well, like the Pillars teaming up again like they did in the past, or the Student 6 going on an adventure of their own. The sky's the limit. It's just a wonder if the writers will take advantage of it.
But isn't this going to be the last season?
At the time I started this video, Hasbro hadn't made the call, but last week they officially announced that Season 9 is going to be the final for Friendship is Magic. That being said, I don't think that's a bad thing. While it is no doubt hard to say goodbye to the Equestria you've grown to know and love, a new show has some advantages that Friendship is Magic didn't. When Friendship is Magic started, the writers weren't writing for an adventure show. They were writing for a children's show. The nostalgic days of Dear Princess Celestia, this and that. It all centered around morals, kids' lessons, and while there was the occasional joke or hidden gem, that intent stretched into the later seasons. It was a bad foundation for what the fandom started wanting. And it's why later editions like the Alicorns, Equestrian History, or Epic Quest to a land we've never heard of when the yaks are right there. Generation 5 has a chance to start with a better foundation, to create a new world, go on adventures, and explore the things around our favorite little ponies. It's a wonderful prospect, and I'm just left to wonder if Hasbro will take advantage of that. High hopes, low expectations, I suppose. But what do you think? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're at it, consider ringing that bell to become a member of our Loonification squad today. And I'll see all of you in the next video.
You can tell that was made 4 years ago.
Yeah. Super simple dancing animation took hours to make.
What was that animated in?
Adobe Animate.
So, when it comes, okay, for all of us, what do you guys think of how much you've been using the software? Like me using Source Filmmaker, yeah, it is kind of easy first, but the thing is, Source Filmmaker is like a 32-bit system, which can actually has some limits when it comes to using the memory. Yes, there was many times that I had to just use different save files, like when I did the Squid Game, because there's so many pony models in that software, then the more memory it goes, the more it would actually, most likely to crash. Yes, I have to do a lot of crashing, but the only thing the solution to if I want to have more ponies. For me is I just had to because I had to do different save files, like a save file for one scene and a save file for another scene. So I'm using it all in one save. So then that's how I have to deal with the crashes. And yeah, it only goes up to 3,500, but it may still be worth it for me. But it's still a pain to have to see the software keep crashing whenever you insert more models and ponies into the save files. One of those source nature.
Pardon me. For the software I use, I mentioned before, I used Toon since 2016. To clarify, my university didn't taught us much of it because they were always 3D focused. Most art schools and colleges you go to, they hardly teach you any 2D animation. So the best way to go is, like Lux said, is just find many tutorials you can find on YouTube. There are so many talented indie animators out there who have shared their perspectives, their experiences, their own tutorials on how to improve your animation. And that's been the alternative I've been taking more, and it has improved a lot in my style. In Toon Boom, it has a variety of styles you can go for. You can do 3D, you can do puppet animation, you can do rigs, you can make them 3D rigs too, actually. But of course, there's also a hand drawing if you want to use that, because they do have a hand drawing a menu that you can use for your workplace. As of now, I mentioned before that I am gradually shifting away from Toon Boom to start practicing the Clip Studio Paint, which is also a good alternative for independent animation, and it's not expensive either. Using Toon Boom, it costs like $900 to $1,000 a year, because it's a standard to the animation industry. So every studio in any animation studio always sticks with Toon Boom, and that's why it's that pricey. But if you want to stick to a more independent and a more affordable alternative, Clip Studio is one of them. And you might find a couple more, but people will always suggest Clip Studio is the best alternative you can find. You can only pay it once. That's it. Only $50 for the Pro version. The EX version, which is a more advanced version with more additional tools you can use for animation, it costs like $112, but only pay once, no year subscription, unless you want to pay like a few more to get yearly updates. But it's not so much if you're prepared to continue updating your software. Yeah.
Me, like I've said, I primarily stuck to Gary's mod for like the 10 years I've been in this animation sort of thing, and I have gradually started to branch out into trying SourceMaker a little bit, like an AC over there. It's a bit more complicated than Gmod, but because again, my roots, I get English. My roots have been more in Gmod for all these years, but in terms of like animation style, like there's no real limits to animating in Gmod. Like you can do silly stuff, serious stuff. There's a boatload of resources you can get for Gmod right on the Steam Workshop. Same for Source Filmmaker. So really, it's really all up to your imagination in that regard. And personally, I would like to try and do more SFM stuff in the future, but that remains to be seen. But other than that, I'm pretty much well rooted in Gmod for the time being. That's more where I'm comfortable. So yeah.
All right. Sorry. Oh yeah. When it comes to using your software or other stuff. When it comes to using Adobe Animate, I like the convenience of being able to nest certain things inside of other objects. So eyes, for example, having the pupil as its own independent thing I can move around on its own layer within something, rather than having like 50 layers. It's all kind of grouped together. Super easy workflow. I liked Adobe since I started using it, and it's just the one I'm most familiar with. But there are probably better tools available. I know that Animate isn't the best when it comes to traditional animation. So say you want to draw frame by frame, the brushes aren't as good for that. So you probably, if you're going for traditional animation, I'd recommend a different program. But it really depends on what you're most familiar with and kind of what you're willing to learn when it comes to animation, what you want to do when it comes to animation, that really should determine what programs and what resources you're looking for. Okay.
Alright, let me tell you about programs. Okay, about software stuff. Okay. So I have had experience in Adobe products, Flash and Animate. Photoshop has an animation feature to it. After Effects. I've touched Toon Boom, Clip Studio, TV Paint, Maya, Blender, all of the above. And they're all uniquely different. They all have their own little like signature, I guess, to them. And it's a pick and choose to which one you want to apply yourself to. If you're looking for a 2D route, Adobe is a good starting point because, like I said, it deals a lot with puppeteer work, and puppeteer work will help you get a better understanding of the 12 principles of animation and how it can be applied to actual like frame by frame work. Plus, it's just easy. It's just a bunch of tweens and a bunch of smooth motions for each body part that you're using on the character, so it's nice for that. And it's easy to read. There's not so many tools in it that you would get need. So if you're starting out, I recommend Adobe Animate or Flash, if you can find it.
You can find Flash, eh?
Photoshop is mainly for photos, but it does have an animation feature to it that works the same way as regular 2D animation, 2D animated frame by frame flipbook would. So Photoshop has that to it. After Effects is more of an effect software where you add lighting and motion blurs and lens flares, all the pretty stuff that makes the screen pop pretty much.
But it can be used for animation. I know that Silver Quill really likes to use it.
Silver tried it. He's been telling me about his experience with it, and it's a hard process.
Oh.
It's mainly for effects. Toon Boom Harmony, like I said, a lot of studios are moving that to nowadays. That's a really good software for frame by frame animation rather than tweening. You can do tweening in that, but it's mainly for frame by frame. Klaus was animated in Toon Boom, so that's the frame of reference. Health Boss I know is animated in Toon Boom, but it's also with TV Paint. Do you guys remember the Busy Pop one, the Die Young animation that she did years ago? That was done in TV Paint, and TV Paint is a more extensive version of what would be the flipbook method, in that you're just drawing a frame on top of a frame on top of a frame on top of a frame, where it's not easily copied from frames before to apply to later frames like Toon Boom does. Toon Boom is just an easier software that way. If you want to go ham and go Disney style, TV Paint is the best program for that. If you want to have specific brushes that look pretty weird but look visually appealing, Clip Studio has all these different brush settings that can be applied to your lines and to your shading that will make it look like more of like either a chalk or a crayon, or like something that's not really flat on the screen, something that's not flat colored. Clip Studio has a lot of cool options that way. For 3D users, Blender is a free program. Source Filmmaker is a free program. I know Source Filmmaker is actually pretty limited because it's still connected to Valve's assets. You're only using TF2 and like Half-Life stuff and all Portal and all that, right? You're using Valve assets, but it's still a good software for a starting out program if you want to learn 3D stuff. Otherwise, Maya is also good for starting off. I know that my college had us go through like so many different courses for Maya that it just is easy for me at this point. Blender's free. Blender works the same way as Maya, but it has a 2D element to it. You can like in Blender, you can make a 3D model and then put a 2D filter on top of it, and it looks somewhat weird. It's kind of got the feeling that Spider-Verse has. If you want to go that route. Blender, Source Filmmaker, Adobe are the basic programs to start out in. And then whatever path you choose is just whichever one you like to do. and move forward from there. I made Into Boom Harmony, that's mine. And I recommend it to a lot of other people that want to do 2D animation. But yeah, please take your time with it if you are going to learn, because the more you learn, the more you animate, the more you learn about it, the closer you get to the kind of vision that you want for your thing.
Oh yeah, when it comes to Source Filmmaker, yeah, most of the models or other things, the objects, mostly can be found in the Steam Workshop. So yeah, you can just definitely subscribe to them. But there are some models that you couldn't actually get because of they're not even ported into Source Filmmaker. So yeah, usually you have to deal with a lot of commissions just to get these kind of objects or those models into Source Filmmaker, which usually go from vendor to Source Filmmaker when you wanted to. If you wanted to go easy and use Source Filmmaker, that's what I usually do with one of my models that I was supposed to get, like one of the Marvel characters I couldn't get on, but then I had to add commissions just to get them ported into them. And oh yeah, of course you can use commissions. We can talk about commissions. Yeah, I was able to get one of my poly model into Source Filmmaker using my commissions. So it still works, but there's a lot when it comes to using the contact with other animators who wanted to compile them into Source Filmmaker or even Gmod if possible.
Commissions? Well, I don't have much to say about commissions, but even for to the artists, and there are people out there on Twitter who do take commissions, like YCH commissions, like doing like a few short 3-second to 5-second animations of someone's OC, and it'll give you the idea of what they want. If you want one of your characters to be animated by us or some other animator that you follow, you can give them a good reference of what your OC is. Give them a character sheet to work with. Give them details of what kind of personality they have, what kind of movement they want to have, and just give them the amount of details of what should they do for only 3 seconds to 5 seconds. And usually an animation like that could take, it depends, 2 weeks, a month. It depends how complex or how simple the character is designed, and that way it's easier for us 2D artists can connect with and be able to animate it. So yeah, just be respectful with artists, what kind of commission you want to give them, and be sure to check their prices because they have very good valuable prices you can get for their YCH commissions.
Where's the commission, right?
Yeah, they're singing in the other room.
I'm not very well versed in commissions myself, but I do understand that there are also like Gary's Mod and Source Maker artists that do that at times, like be it like art or animation. So following what EG here said, like reference and detail is important when making a commission, and I honestly don't have much to add to that, I'm afraid. So yeah.
Commission-wise, artists tend to undervalue their work. It is hours of dedication to a craft. It's hours of dedication to making sure that everything's perfect. So don't undersell yourself. You might when you're starting out, but ask around, see what other artists are charging for, and see if you are on par with them, or if not, how would that change the price? And it's okay to do free work if you're doing it for practice, to learn, more than you're doing it for profit or portfolio. There may be some works that you just do for the heck of it because you want it. It's a fun project, fine. But yeah, price is something that a lot of artists will struggle with. Don't be afraid to ask around. Especially in the growing community, it seems that people are very open about like, yo, here's what I charge, here's what I would do if this was a project I did. So yeah, there's friends around you.
friendship is meant.
I am a full-time commission artist, so this is a question for me. How do I get started with my commissions, and how do I get going with, how do I make a living off of commissions? It's half luck and it's half playing the system. Number one, you gotta get good at art. You gotta know how yourself when it comes to art stuff. So get good at that first, then you can move forward. And even then, you can, when you're doing your commissions, you can get better as you go. The way I do commissions, the way I'm doing, the way I'm getting a profit off of it really is through catering towards an audience much like this. Like I started commissions by doing pony work, and people liked my pony work, so they just wanted more of it. So cater towards a fandom, cater towards people that want just their OCs made and all that. Start small, start with character stuff. Because if you learn character stuff, you can apply that to your animation stuff. That'll be a very good key. For animated commission work itself, that's a bit harder to find. Because there will be people out there that will just want an animator for the sake of having an animator without having to pay for an animator. You gotta watch out for those people, because those are people that, say that, we can pay you an exposure and all that. Otherwise, there's people that have that much of a fund that the earnings that they get from your work that they would put on YouTube would go towards you. But then you have to make yourself good in a way. So in order to get those kind of people, you have to have one, a following, two, a platform that shows your work anyway. When you make stuff and you put it all in your portfolio, you have to make sure that people that want to hire you see that. They have to have access to that. You have to have links to stuff. You have to have your best work forward so that employers can see your work and hire you for your stuff. And you also, like Looney said, you can't undersell your stuff. You can't undersell the work that you do, how many hours you put into said work. And you can't undersell the people that are working with you, especially for animated projects, because everybody has to get paid, not just you for that. It's a whole process. A bunch of other artists, especially artists in Vendor Hall, can tell you more about how they do their commission work. If you're looking to get some sort of career started off of that, I recommend going the commission route as a part-time thing, or even as a hobby thing if you're starting out. Because you really don't know if you are going to get that far into making it into a full-time thing. So tread lightly with it, but also don't stop doing it if you really want to do it. That's my advice. Question time? Or?
It's already 11.
Yeah, we gotta.
It's time to wrap it up.
Yeah. Thanks. If you have any other questions, you can drop by and ask one of us. And yeah, it's already 11 a.m. and I would like to say thank you so much for attending.